closely with Trump and his family and was promoted to deputy campaign chair. After Trump's victory, Tom Barak, a businessman and longtime friend of Trump, was appointed chairman of the inaugural committee, and Rick was to be his deputy. Rick then was among the small team who founded the America First Political Action Committee, while continuing to work privately for Barak. Although Rick had never sought publicity, never asked for it, he found himself rubbing shoulders with President Trump, Vice President Pence, and some of the biggest supporters and most substantial donors of the campaign. He might have preferred being in the background, the shadow man who got things done. But in the world of Trump, Rick Gates suddenly became the ultimate insider. During the months that followed our New Year's Eve encounter, Rick and I would bump into each other in the Trump Hotel. He would always be pacing around the lobby with a phone glued to his ear. Rick was tall, not quite as tall as Trump, but still not a small man. Even so, Rick has this ability to go unnoticed. A time or two, a friend would say to me, "Rick just waved hello to you." "He did?" I would look around. "Where is he?" And indeed, true to a man who likes to be behind the scenes, very few knew his name, despite his key positions. Even fewer knew what he looked like. But as much as he might have wanted to stay invisible, things started to change for Rick the night the first article came out in the New York Times. I was hosting a party at the Trump Hotel with friends Dennis and Carol Troche. At the gathering, we were joined by others, including H.R. McMaster, then President Trump's national security advisor, and I had invited Rick to join us as well. He came, but sat in a corner, engaging only with my friend Katrina Pearson, who had served as Donald Trump's spokeswoman during his campaign and who is now a spokeswoman for America First. She and Rick were both working on their laptops. "We are dealing with a crisis," Rick said to me as a way of apologizing. Katrina repeated something of similar nature. The next day, I would learn from the media that Rick was fired from the America First PAC as a result of the article, which stated that although Manafort was out, Gates was still coming and going from the White House and still working for America First. The article would bring back allegations about Manafort's reported connections to Russia and a former president of Ukraine, allegations that had been news fodder for months. Katrina and Rick had been working on a press release during the party. I knew Rick must have felt hurt by the firing. He'd told me how fulfilled he'd felt in his role with America First. Still, he didn't let anybody know it. He immersed himself in his consulting job with Tom, consumed by his work, as always. He still moved in the same circles, still was seen at the White House and the Trump Hotel. Then, in the fall of 2017, I started to notice a change in Rick's trademark practical and positive demeanor. During a trip to Los Angeles, Rick, who'd always been super busy, tried to push me for a meeting that afternoon. "Daphne, please, let's meet at the Montage Hotel for coffee. I'm here until tonight." I wanted to meet with him, but I wasn't in the city at the time. By then, Paul Manafort's home had already been raided by the FBI, but I didn't quite understand Rick's urgency. "Something's going on," I told Bill. "He's acting as if he senses that time is not on his side." The next time Rick suggested we meet was a Sunday in September at the Trump Hotel in D.C. Rick is always very punctual, but on this day, he called at the last minute and canceled the meeting. He told me he'd been stuck in traffic, but his excuse made me believe that he needed to avoid the hotel, which was the flagship of the Trump organization in the Capitol. But it was our spot, the informal nerve center where we'd all spent so many days. Was it now too public for him? Then, in October, came the major breaking news. Special counsel Robert Mueller's team was reportedly about to indict 2 people related to President Trump. It dominated the news cycle and created lots of speculation. Naturally, the names Paul Manafort and Mike Flynn were on everybody's lips. I called Rick and left a message on his mobile. He called me back. "What do you think is going to happen?" he asked, sounding worried. "Well," I said, "since they haven't searched your home or investigated you, it's probably not you." Rick sounded relieved, yet even he wasn't sure. He kept weighing in with me back and forth. These 2 people may be less.